Hi, folks. Thank you for joining us. Okay, this is different, right? For those of you who have seen other live events, we're not typically in a setting like this. I am in a hotel in Covington, Louisiana, on my way to Foley, Alabama for a storytelling summit that begins on Friday, Friday and Saturday. So, looking at the comments that we have here, I see Kimberly is here. Myri, thank you for joining us. And Valerie is here. Valerie is our storyteller. Thank you for being here. Valerie, if you have any questions for me during the course of this live event that you'd rather not share in the live, you're welcome to message me and I'll reply privately if you have any questions. And Brenda is here. Brenda, what 5:31, something like that, right? Right. Heartbreaking story. Yeah, it really is. And so there's this thing that occurred to me while I was watching this that you hear about it a lot with the missing stories, with the fentanyl stories, and with the cannabis stories. With all of these, when you hear from parents or supporting family members who talk about the experience and the process that they went through, they talk about this forced education. I mentioned it in the chat during the live. This forced education where they have to learn about how the courts work and how drug court works and how probation works and how all of those processes work, how mental health facilities and mental health resources, how they work and how they don't work. And it's really tragic. I think there's something very consistent about the way that law enforcement, in the way that they don't always treat these cases the same. We'll put it like that. And I have a lot of friends that are in law enforcement, and I know them. I know them well, and I know that they are genuinely good, caring people. So here's the thing about law enforcement. Law enforcement agencies draw from the same pool of potential employees as every other employer. And in that pool, there's some less than ideal people. So, anyway, let's see. Brenda's got 531 days and counting. I got here on the shoulders of giants. God, Glenn, storytellers and chatters. I don't belong in God's in a group all his own, right? And I'm glad that we had some sort of role, but you did this, Brenda. You are why you're at where you're at. Valerie says he knows mom's in heaven, but he asks and talks about her all the time. Oh, Valerie, that's so heartbreaking. Sapphire, welcome. Sapphire. We'll call it Sapphire. Oh yeah. I'm here in whatever Covington, Louisiana. I have it here. I'm at a Hilton Garden Inn, and my wife is a travel agent, and so she manages to get these spectacular deals. Otherwise, I'd be at a Motel 6. But here, there is free coffee. No, this is not the wonderful Texas Pictures self-cleaning mug, but it's what they've got. And so anyway, Val, Kimberly says, Val, you're in a beautiful support group here. Yeah, Val, you are. This is a wonderful community of caring people. They don't get more similar than that. Some are people that are in recovery. Some are people who have lost someone to fentanyl or cannabis. Some are just people who care. But it's a wonderful community here, and it's wonderful the way everyone in these groups tends to really connect with each other and grow. Rat on Cheetos, yeah. Coffee at almost 8 p.m. Yes. I'm up. I'm up and it's free. So it would be wrong to just let it go, right? I can drink coffee in bed and still go right to sleep. Just works out that way. Nina, it is decaf coffee, which is also known as hot water. No, Brenda, it is not decaf coffee. As far as I know, there's a dispenser, and one dispenser says coffee. It said medium roast, and the other dispenser said decaf. And this did not come out of the decaf dispenser. So, Brad, first thing tomorrow, I promise. So Brad's here. Is Brad here? I don't see. Is Brad? Oh, there he is. Okay. So let me see what I can do here. We're going to add Brad as a moderator. And by doing that, it should change. Yeah. He's a standard moderator, whatever that means. Okay. Truth Speaker, thank you for joining us. Every story matters. Law enforcement needs to quit cookie cutting cases. Just applying, but they're not really doing that. We talked about this during the last live. They're not really applying a cookie cutter filter to cases, because cases that get a lot of media exposure wind up getting a lot more resources and investigation time. That goes against all of the principles that this country was founded on. How does that happen? How is there not? There should be rage at the inconsistency in the volume of resources that are applied to missing persons according to what their social status is, what their race is, what their economic status is, what their how public of a person they are. Sorry. So don't get me started. A moderator. Yeah. Yeah, you're a moderator now, Brad. Don't let it go to your head. Truth speaker. Okay, stereotyping. Okay, yeah, I could go with that too. I love iced tea. Well, thanks for sharing, Brad. That's just kind of out of the blue. I mean, I guess it has something to do with the coffee discussion, but it also seems a little bit like that guy in the discussion who sort of sits in the corner and just out of the blue every now and then says something like, "I like trains." But that's Brad. AVFC says I had reported my sister missing twice. They just filed a report, had to look for her myself. She is sectioned now at hospital. She isn't happy with me, but at least she's safe. And that's a rough spot. That finding that balance between what keeps your loved one safe and what keeps them happy can be a real challenge. And that ultimately keeping them safe is what needs to be the priority. What am I missing here? Valerie says the cops body cam showed the vehicle that the detective seized. So that's interesting. The vehicle the detective seized. Madonna what? Madonna Esquire? Okay. We'll just call you Madonna. All right. Yes, it do, but anything to share posts for Kate, always trying to help. Yeah. Brenda says you guys are touching on the reason most people will not ask for help with their addiction. I feel like there's a lot of reasons why people feel like they can't ask for help or don't want to ask for help or too embarrassed to ask for help or don't know how to ask for help. It seems like there's a lot to it, Brenda. I'm not speaking as an addict in recovery, but I've spoken to a lot of addicts in recovery, and that's the sense I get from what they tell me. Kimberly says, "Hey AVFC, I'm going to keep your sister in my prayers." Very cool. Truth speaker, that would be Julie, says, then they either drag their feet and won't give you the records or they make them so expensive. And I can tell you, investigating a missing person case is very expensive any way you slice it. Yeah. Yeah, I can certainly see that. That the expense that people don't recognize the expense of investigating a missing person case or really investigating any kind of case, any kind of story, that ultimately time is money. And anytime someone spends on the case that cuts into what pays their bills hurts. It hurts it hurts their own security that comes from, having a stable income and that kind of thing. There's there's quite a delicate balance going on at Texas Pictures all the time. For us, it's worth every minute of it, though. So Madonna says San Antonio. What am I missing? Hey, 6910, where you located? San Antonio. Did we meet at the event in San Antonio where we recorded these stories? Are you one of the people we interviewed, or someone I met while we were at that event? Valerie says I begged and they didn't help. There is always a chance, Valerie. There's always a chance that the law enforcement agency will do a little more because this story is more public now. It's not a lot more public. We get a little bit of attention. We have over 200,000 subscribers, and that is awesome. But that doesn't mean that we can affect direct action. But it has happened a couple of times. Not that it got results, but it led to a little renewed interest in resolving things. But regardless, you can send a link to your story to the investigating officer or to the agency in general, and in doing that, it can perhaps lead to a little bit of new interest in finding resolution. If you'd like, we can contact them too. We can send an email, we can ask for comment, and then address that in a later story if we get comment. And occasionally we do, usually we do not. There's one agency, the Newport Richey Police Department in Florida. They were wonderful. And I want to share this. There's a story on our channel about fentanyl that's called It's in the Weed. And in that story, the storyteller made some comments that were pretty critical of the Newport Richey Police Department. And we contacted them for any kind of response. And they replied. And the chief of police called me. And we talked a while and worked out a way to include a response in the story from the police department that was reasonable, fair, not accusational, and well suited for the story. So that was cool. We've also contacted the police department in Abilene and got no response. We've contacted the police department in Austin, Texas, and got no response. And there's a couple of other police department or law enforcement agencies, maybe not police departments, could be sheriff's offices, and received no reply. So, and from their perspective, to get an inquiry from a YouTube channel, I don't know that carries a lot of weight. I don't know. But the Newport Richey Police Department, their response, their interest in responding, the quality of their response was impressive, was admirable, I think. All right, let me catch up. Oh, Brad, good Lord. When are you coming through Oklahoma City? Still don't know. I want to. I want to sit in the Toby Keith place, have some food, hang out with you guys again, have a good time. And ready to make it happen. Maybe there's some missing stories in Oklahoma City, and we could do a summit that focuses on missing persons for the Still Missing series. Or that'd be part of it, that we do a summit where we do fentanyl stories and missing person stories and human trafficking or domestic violence or whatever else. So that ultimately, ideally, when we do a summit, we want to record stories for a couple of days, and we want to record 6 to 8 stories per day. That's the ideal. It doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes we'll have stories scheduled, and then when it comes time for the actual event, one or two people will cancel, and that's fine. Sometimes one or two people will be just walk-ins who weren't on the schedule, but we work them in anyway. All right, so Kimberly says, AVFC, you're in a wonderful group, and of course we are. Valerie says, she was there with me. I don't know what that's referring to. Madonna says, I saw you. No, I am a friend of the missing Katelyn Vara. Very cool. Well, thank you very much for being here. Brad, you and you and your questions. Am I a Democrat or a Republican? I'm I'm not. I'm really not. I tend to lead more conservative, but it's not having a Republican perspective as much as feeling like conservative means doing less, means the government does less. And when the government does something, a lot of the time it seems to be screwed up. Something goes wrong with it, something they didn't think about that turns into a problem. And so the solution is to do less. So I tend to lean a little bit conservative, but I am not, I'm definitely not a Republican or a Democrat. Valerie says, I thought about that. I wanted to send to the detective. You should. We'd be happy to talk to the detective as well. We can contact them and ask them if they have any kind of update or response that they would like to make to the video. Not likely to hear anything. Brenda says, Brad, as a moderator, you should know we don't discuss politics. Madonna says, yes, of course, my heart and prayers are always with Val and grandson. Oh, here we go. Okay, we're losing track of stuff. I want to put out more flyers this morning. Send me one. Skype says, send me one. And if you can send me one, and we will put it on our Facebook page. We can also post it in the community section or the posts section on our YouTube channel, and just have that there as another little window to some volume of people. Valerie says, then I put more flyers in front of the hotel a few days ago. Some were off, but it rained, so I don't know. Hello, Tanya. 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 We'll just go with Tanya. Thank you for being here. Valerie says, I go post them on the polls. I have staple guns, tape, tacks, whatever I need. Put missing person flyers. Brendan says we have amber alerts for children, silver alerts for seniors, blue alerts for police officers, orange alerts for escaped convicts. I want purple alerts for missing addicts. Yeah, maybe it needs a better term. Purple alerts for people missing in crisis, maybe. I feel like because of that stigma thing that we hear about a lot, an amber alert that says missing addicts, people in crisis, seems better. Maybe. I don't know. Brenda says Brad, she's probably too young to even know of the Uncle Buck movie. Uncle Buck. Uncle Buck, that's the John Candy and John Candy. It's fine. Skypey says, I love the idea of purple alerts for addicts because the norm for a lot is they do keep in contact on schedule. Yeah. Yeah, that is a thing that I think that's a byproduct of addiction is a commitment to a schedule, because committing to the schedule is mandatory to maintain getting well, to maintain the habit at a point where you feel well. Real coffee. I just feel like I need to say that now and then. It's real coffee. It is not a self-cleaning mug, but it's real coffee. Decaf is for wimps. Yeah, I think the purple alert idea is a good one. It needs to be something other than referring to people as missing addicts. It needs to be something else. Just thinking in terms of the general public perception. If it says missing addicts, I would think the general public perception would be, well, of course there's addicts that are missing. They're addicts. And it'd be dismissive and condescending even. But if it's missing people in crisis, which would include addiction and include mental health issues and include stalking or some sort of domestic violence circumstance or things like that, it could be a broader, more inclusive kind of arrangement, maybe. What else do we have here? Truth Speaker says in Arizona now, turquoise alerts for Native Americans. So that's a good one. And so we need to come to Arizona and do some missing stories there. Now that uh, we're going, Valerie says, "I agree, Glenn. I don't like the wording addict. I say she had a substance abuse problem, but I slip up on that a lot." And that's one of those things where it's been my experience in the course of speaking with many people who are in recovery that they tend to not have a problem with the word addict at all. That it's everybody else who has a problem with it, and and they'll freely say, "Yeah, I was an addict for years," or whatever. It's the others who have a problem with it, and so you got to be considerate of the others if you want them to be on your side. Glenn, you can pick them up, but you cannot pick substance use disorder because it's too close to. Glenn, you can pick the term. Okay, sorry, I read that wrong. Glenn, you can pick the term, but you cannot pick substance use disorder because it's too close to STD. Yeah, you have to say it out. You can't use the acronym. You can't just do the letters. Brenda says, even if we keep contact with someone, if or when they go missing, the authorities do not take it seriously because of our lifestyle. I get it. I know we are exhausting the police with overdose, but we are human. Here's the thing about exhausting the police with overdose. That's their job. It's part of their job, and it's not some sort of surprise part of their job. They had to know that would be part of their job when they chose the profession. And that's the key thing there, that they chose the profession. So do your job or quit. You can quit. Your employment is at will. You can quit. You can find another job. So do your job. Complain about it if you want, but complaining about a job you chose to do and a job you're choosing to stay in just makes you look stupid. When are you going to be back in Houston? Monday or so. I'll probably be back in Houston on Monday. Uh, Brenda says, "Truth, thanks. I didn't know about turquoise." Yeah, the turquoise alerts. Those are cool. In that, it's a cool name for it, and I also feel like it's a great way to increase awareness because as these turquoise alerts go out there, it's a unique enough name that when someone hears it, they're really going to remember it, and it's going to remind them that Native Americans exist. Tanya says, "Quit for sure." That's it. That's the big thing. It's not. when you hear, it's common among people in roles like it's common among law enforcement to hear them complain about how they're treated by the public, or how it's a thankless job, and quit, find another job. This is the land of opportunity. Employment rates are low, or unemployment rates are low. Employment rates are very high right now. And if the job isn't working out for you, don't sit and whine and complain. Quit. You can do that. And some whiny officers will say, "Yeah, I'm not going to give up my pension." Pension. Most of us don't get pensions in employment anymore. You're special. You have the privilege of getting a pension, and you demonstrate your gratitude by complaining. All right, so I'm behind, I'm sure, on truth. Thanks, Brenda. Yeah, they were totally dismissive once they saw her record and saw she did illegal substances. Yeah. Shouldn't matter. Whatever happens to her, whatever happened to her, whatever happened to other victims that are out there, the person who did it could do it again. Could be they're likely to do it again, especially if they don't get caught, if they don't have any consequence. So a failure to do anything about a crime, about an investigation, and we have two stories coming up that are unsolved murders. Failure to do anything about those has an impact on other people, because whoever did that crime is still out there and is still a threat to the public law enforcement serves. Brenda says addict, junkie, druggie, pillhead. I love each and every one. I earn them the hard way. Gee, Brenda, I think the only way to earn them is the hard way. You've also earned recovered, or recovering the hard way. How awesome is that? Danya says, quit for sure. Yeah, quit. Officers pretend like that's not an option. Come on. Quit. Just quit. Be in the real world again. Don't enjoy that privilege that comes with being law enforcement. Don't enjoy that status that comes from being in a position where the public trusts you to keep them safe. If you can't handle the job, shut up and quit. And I have friends, dear friends, that are police officers, that are law enforcement officers. And one of the things that infuriates me most about the whiners is that that makes my friends who are not whiners, it makes my friends look bad. It makes the officers that are featured, we have a series on our channel called American Peace Officer. And it makes the officers that are featured on that channel, on that series, look bad. They're doing the right thing for the right reasons, and they're not whining about it. So if you're whining about your job and you stay in your job, whose fault is that? Wow, I should probably take it down a notch, huh? But it ticks me off. It's terrible of the police saying it's just an addict, not worth searching for this person. Yes, that is terrible. That just the idea that it's okay to say that out loud is terrible. Miss Sheila's world. Okay, we'll just Sheila's world of. Amen, Glenn. It's their job to serve and protect everyone. Period. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And it ought to be a kind of a privilege. Kimberly says turquoise is a healing color. Oh, that's interesting. Petro says it's terrible of the police saying is just an addict. Yeah. Truth speaker Valerie, Google my friend Reva Stewart in Arizona. We've had the largest sober living fraud in Arizona history, and thousands are dead and have gone missing. There's a lot of stories in there. Nina says, Brenda, that's truly awful and evil. Which is referring to what Brenda said, Valerie. I had a sheriff tell me he would gladly end my suffering with a bullet. He decided that I wasn't worth the price. There again, law enforcement agencies draw from the same pool of potential employees as everybody else. There's morons out there. Kimberly says, I am 3/4 Eastern Cherokee. Brenda says, Nina, yes, but even worse, I was hoping he would do it because I knew how bad I was hurting everyone. Thankfully, God had a better plan. We're all glad you're here, Brenda. Brenda says, truth, I remember following the story about everyone going missing from the sober living, and then suddenly the story just stopped being reported. What happened there, Julie? Anna says, hello from Midwest City, Oklahoma. Thank you for joining us, Anna. Good to see you here. Yes, Brenda, you did earn recovery. She's still earning recovery also. Brenda's on it like Oprah on a baked ham. She's on it like a rat on a Cheeto. She's on it like Biden on a flight of stairs. Too soon? So, Brenda says, Brad, I have sent Nux 2 texts in the last week and have no reply. I will reach out this weekend with an actual phone call. I think she might be down in the dumps again. I'll keep you posted. And so, Brenda, when you call Nux, tell her we miss her and that we're here for her and that we care about her. You, you tell her I said that, please. April is here. Hello, April. Thank you for joining us. Now, I see that uh, uh, April says, I guess I got a late start. Just finished watching. So heartbreaking when the system meant to help you fails us. My heart is either this mom and baby. My heart is with this mom and baby. It is certainly a heartbreaking thing for sure. And these stories are new to us. We've only recorded a few so far. We're still very much in the early stages of the learning curve regarding missing persons. We know we're getting to the point where we know a little bit more than most people, I suppose. But it's to think about the difficulty, the what was the term? Ambiguous loss, unresolved loss. They're gone, but you don't know. You don't know why. You don't know where. You don't know what kind of answer could be coming tomorrow. I guess you don't like Oprah. I don't really have much of an opinion about Oprah. I just figure she likes baked ham. Actually, that line on it like Oprah on a baked ham comes from an episode of The Simpsons, and the Bart Simpson character used that line. So that's where I got it from. Miss Sheila says, much prayers up for Nux. Yeah, Nux is, I have faith and hopes, of course, that she's doing fine. Maybe she's just too busy having a good time to make it, to join us. That would be awesome. Brenda says, Glenn, I will send her love from each and every one of us. Our group needs every single member. And such a cool group it is. I mean, really, that the group grows and we get new people and we lose a few and gain a few more. And we have people here in different parts of the country and uh, people with different kinds of stories. Some are in recovery, some have lost someone. But here there's this great love that's going on in this group. There's total engagement and people staying connected, supporting each other. It's great. It's really great. Brad says, I love Oprah. Well, of course you do, Brad. Oh, I hope my audio is okay. I'm using a different microphone because I'm not traveling with the microphone I usually use. for good reason. Holy cow, what a nuisance that would be. Uh, Miss Sheila says, I have to leave early. Family, I love y'all. Let's stay encouraged and prayed up always in this crazy world. Thank you for joining us, Miss Sheila. Hopefully, we'll see you next time. And I don't know when the next time will be. We will try to post some kind of something from the storytelling event in Alabama. But we never know what to expect until we're there and it starts. And once things get going, we will try to connect. That's our plan. Try to update everyone with what's going on. Julie says Brenda, the chairman, hit the streets of Phoenix with Riva. I'm going to drag Glenn's arse a lot of places in Arizona. Well, we are up for the adventure, up for whatever we can do to help. Tatiana says, "I just watched Katelyn's story." Well, what did you think about it? We've been talking about it a little while. What stood out to you about Katelyn's story? How did it uh, kind of surprising? If you're not familiar with missing persons cases, if you're not familiar with the process that family members have to go through, there's some surprising elements to this. Here's a thought. Hmm, what if Katelyn didn't have family? What would be happening with her case then if there was no one asking about her? Then where would it be? Brenda says, Truth, awesome. Do you know any of the guys who do the street interviews in Tucson or Phoenix? And Kimberly says, no puppies. No, no. The puppies are back in Houston. I am not. Anna says, I work early. Hope everyone has a great night. Well, thank you for joining us, Ann. Hopefully we'll see you next time. Tatiana says, hello, April. And Kimberly says, blessed night, everyone. I have appointment session with my therapist on the phone. Well, you have a good time with that. And Kimberly, we will see you next time. Brenda says, Glenn, you know a missing person without a family fighting for them is doomed. Yeah. But even, if there's no one left around to say my loved one is missing, that's a tough thing. But there has to be evidence. There has to be something. A lease that doesn't get renewed, or or a rent payment that doesn't get paid. Those are all flags. Abandoned stuff. But if there's not someone there to say, hey, you guys need to look into this, it gets forgotten, is what I'm learning in the course of going through, sorry, in the course of going through this process. Brad says it's past my bedtime at my age. Yeah, yeah, I imagine so. I figured you probably had a nap today. Brenda says, Brad, how do you survive on nights where you have a late night gig with the band? I guess a bigger nap. That's probably the answer for that. April says exactly 100%, Tatiana. If he denies it, they let him go. It's truly heartbreaking. It will catch up to him, though. And Truth Speaker says that's not true. Family gave up, and I'm on it almost 4 years later. Well, gosh, Julie, you're a special case. They don't all have a Julie. It's awesome what you're doing. It's like really awesome to be so on it. Brenda says, truth, every missing person needs someone fighting for them. It doesn't have to be a family member. I should have said that in my earlier post. Yeah. Well, we're all figuring it out as we go. And I imagine there's other organizations out there like Search and Support in San Antonio who do similar things. That's kind of what Search and Support does, is that they represent others. They they're advocates for the missing. And Truth Speaker says I have a team that cares. And that's awesome. So we are coming up on an hour, and it's going to be about time to wrap things up. So, Brenda, Brenda has a special message, and eventually I'm going to make a graphic for that message because it is that important. And so I'm fairly confident that Brenda's message is coming up. Truth, having people who care is the vital ingredient to all investigations. Tatiana says, very sad, Katelyn has a son. Yeah. The son, the son could be in the dark for the rest of his life. He could never know. April says, God bless the family in this story. My heart and prayers are with you. There's this thing with all the topics that we address, from fentanyl to addiction recovery, human trafficking, missing persons, cannabis-induced psychosis, all of that. There's this common stuff, and there's overlap this missing story has some overlap in the addiction recovery series. But many of our stories, most of our stories, probably, well, most of them, I think, have some sort of overlap. Most of our addiction recovery stories have some sort of overlap into the fentanyl poisoning series, or some sort of overlap into the human trafficking series or domestic abuse series, or several of them. And we're all connected. Oh, and there's Brenda's message. Which is such an important message. To remind everyone that what you take for granted, someone else is praying for. And Valerie says he's 5.5 now, talking about Katelyn's son. Tatiana says that's the heartbreaking part. Valerie will make sure James knows his mom. I am certain of that. Valerie will make sure James knows his mom. Sergeant Support says, yes, you are correct, Glenn. Thank you, Nina. Oh, Valerie, I'm so sorry. I know he's in your heart, sending you the biggest hugs. And April says, I pray Katelyn's family gets the answers they need for closure. All right, folks. So it's going to be time to wrap it up for today. We have been here a little bit over an hour. I hope everything went okay. I hope my audio is okay. I don't remember seeing any feedback saying there was any issues with it. But it's not a typical microphone and probably sounds a little different. I don't know. But anyway, I'm very grateful for you folks joining us and being a part of this. And we will be doing it again very soon. There will be a live like tonight, Monday evening, for sure, next Monday. And there will probably be one before then, or some kind of something before then, from Foley, Alabama. Because that will be my next stop. I'm back on the road, traveling to Foley in the morning. Valerie says he knows I'm grandma and Kate is mom. Thank you all. Thank you, Valerie, and it's important to keep in touch with us. We can put updates on the channel. On our channel, there is a community section. For me, it says posts. I don't know what it says for visitors to our channel, but you can have a look, and we can post updates for the status of Katelyn's case and make calls for action or whatever. So anyway, Nina says that would be nice. Nina, we can do a lot more with your organization. We can have another summit in San Antonio that focuses on missing persons and talk to more of the people that you work with, that you represent, that you help. Anyway, this could go on all night, I know, but it is time to wrap things up for now. So I always like to remind everyone, like I said, I'm very grateful for you to be a part of this, and we are here for you guys. You can reach out to us at any time, any kind of way, on Facebook or through email or whatever. And and we're glad to do whatever we can to help anyone who asks for it. It's really just that simple. So to reach us by email, you can email us at info@texas-pictures.com. You can find us on Facebook under my name and under Texas Pictures. You can friend me and then message me through Facebook and ask me to put you in our private storyteller group for people who have shared stories with us and people who wish to share stories with us. And you can also learn about us on our website, texas-pictures.com. You'll find information about how to share a story, how to set up a storytelling summit, and a link to our merchandise page, as well as more information about us, like our mailing address, phone number, and great stuff like that. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. Again, very grateful for you to be here and for this time together. And we will talk to you more next time. Good night, folks.